When you receive your Artimate paper, there's some important information to fill out first. Using pencil only, you need to fill out every single line with your information. The first line says student name, so write your first and your last name, please. Then below that it says your homeroom teacher. Go ahead and write who your homeroom teacher is. Next to that it says grade. You need to write the number and the letter that goes along with your class. For example, if you're in 3rd grade, write 3, and if your letter for your grade is B, then write B, 3B. Then go ahead and write your school name, which is Denton Creek Elementary. And then on the far right corner, it repeats a lot of the same information. You need to fill out your name, your teacher, and your grade again. The only difference is it has a line for you to fill out a title for your artwork. For your title, you're going to write Blue Dog. After we've filled out all that important information, we need to turn our paper portrait. At the top of your Artimate paper, it will say top. In parentheses, it will say portrait. That needs to be at the top, not at the bottom. Our drawing has to stay within the rectangle box, so starting off with the top portion of the box, we're going to be drawing our blue dog's head. We're going to be drawing an oval, and if you don't know how to draw a large oval, use the hand trick. I place my hand on my paper and I make 2 dots near my fingertips and the end of my hand to make sure it's large. Now I'm going to draw a curved line above the 2 dots, and I'm going to repeat the same below the 2 dots with another curved line, just like I did on the top. Next, we're going to draw the body of our blue dog. Find the bottom area of your rectangle box and draw a wide letter U. Then we're going to take the sides of our U and we're going to connect it back to the bottom of our oval, back to the head, with another curved line. This is very similar to when we drew our winter fox or wolf in our last project. Now let's add our feet, drawing 2 sets of parallel lines. These are going to be our blue dog's legs. And you can see that I'm using a lot of symmetry. I'm always repeating on the other side because our blue dog is symmetrical. Now I'm going to add the feet, and I'm using a curved line connecting it, almost like a semicircle or a half oval. And because our dog is sitting, we don't see all of its back 2 legs. So we're just going to draw another semicircle or half oval for the back legs. Under our oval, which is our dog's head, we're going to be drawing the letter U. This is going to represent the snout of our dog. Now the snout goes up towards the top of his head, so we're going to draw a wavy line that gets a little bit skinnier when it gets closer to the top of our dog's head. I'm going to connect those lines with a wavy and zigzag line. Working my way back to the bottom of my dog's snout, I'm going to draw an oval, and that's my dog's nose. Under our dog's snout, we're going to draw another letter U, and that's going to be our dog's mouth. You can see that we're using a lot of symmetry in this video. Now we're going to add our dog's eyes. I'm going to make my eyes about the size of a quarter. Using the shape of a circle, I'm going to draw the eyes. Inside the eyes, or the eyeballs, we're going to add our pupils so our dog can see. I added a smaller circle. Our dog is having a hard time hearing, so right on top of our oval, kind of above our eyes, I'm going to draw a triangle shape, and that's going to be my dog's ears. Inside the first triangle that I drew, I'm going to draw another smaller triangle in both the ears. Now you are allowed to use an eraser and erase any old lines that you would like to get rid of. Remember, you don't have to erase every little thing. We're going to eventually paint over it. Next, we're going to add a really simple background. Now, I'm going to be adding an American flag background. I'm not going to draw all 50 stars. I'm just going to draw really simple lines so that I can see what my background is going to be. We're eventually going to add smaller details with oil pastel, but not today. Just draw simple shapes and lines today in your background. When you are all finished and at the end of class, we are going to place our Artime paper in our artwork folder. We are going to begin painting our blue dog today, so grab your artwork out of your artwork folder. If you did not finish drawing in pencil, you will have 5 more minutes. Let's go over our art supplies. You're going to have your paintbrush, then you're going to have your paints in your paint tray. You won't see all the colors in the paint tray in this video, but you will have red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. I'm going to be using blue, black, and white in this video because I want to create an original blue dog. You're also going to have your black basket that has your water cup and a towel to dry off your brush. If you are an art expert today, make sure that you refill the water halfway with clean water. That is your job. Now, because we're working with wet and liquid paints, make sure you don't put water in the paints itself. Always dry off your brush and then dip your brush into the paints. You don't want to scoop it up like yogurt, and if you do on accident, just wipe it off on the side of the paint cup. Now, I'm going to be showing you a little trick to how I like to paint. I like to outline the shape first, using the tippy toes of my brush like a ballerina, and then I like to go back in and fill in the shape with the paint going back and forth, choosing one direction of paint, being really mindful, and it's up to you on what direction you like to paint in. I typically like to go side to side. Another little tip or trick is sometimes our paints are a little bit thirsty on the paper. It tends to kind of drag and it doesn't really spread. So take a little bit of water on your brush and spread it over the paint. I'm now going to begin mixing my tint of blue for my blue dog. Grabbing some blue onto my mixing palette. Then I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm also going to make sure I dry it off on the towel gently. Grabbing a little bit of white onto my mixing palette, and I'm going to begin to mix them together. Notice how I'm mixing in a small area, not everywhere on my paint palette because that wastes the paint. Using that painting trick that I showed you earlier, I'm going to outline all of my blue dog's body. I'm also going to outline my snout and my mouth. Here's what my artwork looks like when I've finished outlining and I'm ready to fill in with color. Now you can fill in your dog with the beautiful paint that you mixed. If you run out of paint and you have to remix the color and it doesn't match it perfectly, it's not a big deal. Just get it as close as you can. And don't forget to use water to spread out that paint. Now I'm going to make a shade of blue, which is the opposite of tint. Grabbing more blue onto my mixing palette and the tiniest bit of black, I'm going to mix them together. And I'm going to outline my blue dog again. After I outline my blue dog, I'm even going to add a few areas of shadows and some paint strokes that kind of make my dog look realistic. Those brush strokes make it look like it's the fur or the hair of my dog. Now in this clip, you can see my background is already painted. We're not doing that today. I just forgot to show this step earlier. But you're going to use black paint to paint the inside of your dog's eyes, and you're going to paint your dog's nose. When you're finished painting, take your artwork to the drying rack. Today we're going to work on painting our background. You're going to have your paint tray again, your paintbrush, and your water basket. As you're painting your background today, really try to control your brush and where your paint goes. I'm trying to be careful as I paint around my dog so that I don't get any yellow on it. Here is an example of another blue dog that I made with a different background. If your previous background color, which in my case it's yellow, if it's still wet, be careful when you paint your next color, because if wet paint and wet paint touch, they're going to mix. When you're finished, take your painting to the drying rack. Today is our last day to work on our blue dog artwork. We're going to be adding some details today using oil pastel that we couldn't really do with our paint and our paintbrush. At your table today, you're going to see a oil pastel tray. You will see 4 sets or 4 boxes of oil pastel. Grab one box for yourself, and it's really important that you use one color at a time. That way we keep track of our oil pastels and we don't lose any of them. If you notice that your oil pastel is getting too short and the paper's in the way, raise your hand and I will come help you peel some of the paper off. Try to keep your oil pastel tray near the middle of the table or near the top of your artwork so that it doesn't fall and then you have to pick it up. Now when you're using your oil pastel, it's really important how you hold it because that depends on the line you will get. If you hold it at an angle, then you're going to get a very thin line because you're using the edge of the oil pastel. If you hold it up tall like a building and really flat, you're going to use all the surface of the oil pastel and get a really thick line. Now, oil pastels are made out of oils and pigments, so it's really easy to smudge and smear them. If your hand goes over it, it's most likely going to get on your clothes or on your hand and gets a little bit messy on your artwork. So be careful when you're working with it today. I try to keep my hand above my artwork when I'm drawing. Now I'm keeping some of my colors kind of original to the original blue dog. I'm using yellow to fill in the eyes of my blue dog. Next, grabbing a white oil pastel, I'm going to draw 2 small ovals for the nostrils of my dog. Use a black oil pastel and outline the bottom of the nose and the mouth. Using my red oil pastel, I'm going to outline the red stripes in my flag so that I can see those details a little bit easier. It gives it a clean edge. Even drew flowers instead of stars on my American flag. Notice how these details are large enough to where we can easily see them in our artwork. When you are finished with your artwork, make sure you turn it into your artwork folder. Please double check that all your oil pastels are back in the box and back on the tray neatly.